Welcome and a very good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome to the 5th Annual Conference of Women Who Code Connect India 2021, sponsored by VMware. Our theme for this year is, am I audible? Yes. Our theme for this year is building resilience into career. So, thank you all for joining our panel, Decode Financial Literacy. So, we have our speaker for today, Neha. So, yes, just a second. I'm getting a call. Sorry about that. So yes, let me invite our speaker for today, Neha. So Neha Misra is the CEO and co-founder of the FinLight project. She is a IIIT Delhi and STPI Chennai incubated financial and literacy startup. So she has a decade of experience in technology and finance and has worked for corporates and startups in India and the US, including working at Wall Street, New York. So Neha is an SEBI and NISM securities markets trainer and NISM certified currency derivatives analyst. In addition to this, she is a global speaker, having spoken at multiple international platforms like Women Tech Conference, Code for America, Dell Women's Entrepreneur Summit, Think India, Reliance AGM, and the list goes on. So Neha is a mentor for IIT Madras Alumni Association, IIIT Delhi Innovation and Incubation Center, and the Oxford University Women in Business. So we are honored to have you, Neha. Thank you so much for accepting our invite, and it will be always pleasure to listen you speak on this financial literacy. So I'll give the stage to you, and I'm all ears and excited to grab as much information as possible. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sandhya, for that really kind and warm introduction. Hi, Usman. Hi, everyone who's joining in. In the next 30 minutes, let's use this opportunity to learn a little bit more about each other. So please feel free to use the chat box as much as you can. You can actually come and take over the stage and tell me about your thoughts on finance. So, hey, Ashwini, do you want to come on stage and tell me about probably your thoughts about finance and why should women who code know about finance? So when I was approached for today's session, they said that what should we call today's session? And I said that how about we've done a lot of sessions which have been focused on financial literacy. Why does it matter for women in technology, and how can you women in technology make that difference? So yes, over to you, Ashwini. I would love to hear from you. How can I invite you on the stage? Please just send me a request. I'll have you join the stage, and we would love to discuss why financial literacy, number one, matters for women who code or women in technology in general, and how can you make that little bit of a difference to improve your financial acumen? And so, just Ashwini, how can I invite you to the stage? Just send me a request. Oh, yes, there you are.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Neha. Actually, I'm having my lunch now, so sorry for interrupting your talk.
No worries. You can see my little one bobbing his head in the background. So we are all victims of it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on finance and why does financial literacy matter for women who code?
In general, for a woman, financial literacy is very much important. I feel women should be financially independent as much as possible. And we should never take a step back saying, okay, if it is a finance topic, then that's not my cup of tea. There is nothing like that. So it is always better to have a financial literacy, plan for your future, so that you'll not feel left out at any point in life. So you should be able to handle the situations at every stage of life. For example, I'm the only breadwinner in my house. I have to take care of my parents, and I have a specially able brother. Now I'm married, but still I have to take care of my parents and my brother because my dad doesn't work now. So I feel there's a lot of need for me to plan my finance in a very efficient way, so that I don't get lost in the middle, or I don't lose track, and I need not worry about it. So that's what I wanted to share with you.
So that is such a powerful point, and kudos to you, Ashwini. I am so proud of you, and I always love it when there are women in technology who take that ownership and say that no, it is important. Because as
Yeah.
you mentioned, we do not realize it until we're hit by some circumstance where we are pushed to the limits. So I
Yes.
come from technology myself. I was working for TCS for the longest time, running mainframe systems and juggling between Java and all those technologies which seem dated today. But that's when some situation happened wherein I had to take charge of my finances. My husband was as well, and that is what pushed me. And then I realized it is us women in technology. Nobody tells us about finance. Everyone
Yes.
talks about BTech and MTech and upskill. No one really says what should you do with the money you earn, and
Yeah.
can you probably make that money work for you? So Sandhya, just give me a moment. I'll mute. And is it better now? Hey Lakshmi, is it better? Yeah, I think when both the speakers are unmuted, then it sort of just goes berserk. Hop and goes berserk. But yes, thank you, Vedika. So you're absolutely correct. And in the next 20-25 minutes, what I want to highlight is that inevitably finance and health become two very important, like wealth and health become two very, very important aspects of life. And as a woman in technology who's worked in technology, we are building a fintech ourselves. We are a financial ed tech. It is fundamentally very important. And no matter what you do, it doesn't matter which organization you're with, what your circumstances are. What's important is that you take ownership. So, one of the biggest problem that women face, who are in technology, when you step into a bank and ask someone who's just, opened an account, say, these are the policies that we have, these are the products that we have, the immediate response, can someone tell me what's the immediate response women usually give to finance and, in general, financial literacy? Any guesses? What is it that women usually say when you ask them about financial planning or the need to plan something, or how can you use a mutual fund product for that matter? Any guesses? No, not really. Absolutely bang on, Rashmi. My husband takes care of it. Lakshmi, you're so absolutely correct. My dad takes care of it. Mani, Chandana, absolutely. But why? We've studied as hard as them. We work as hard as them. In fact, women who are at home work twice as harder as the men in the family. Unfortunately, so we'll try and change it for the next generation, but that's the truth. So why does it happen that why will someone else take care of my money? And why should someone else take care of my money and my financial decisions? So in the next 20-25 minutes, it is my endeavor that at the end of it, you say that I'm going to take care of my expenses, my finances, and I'm going to tell 10 other women around me that it is possible to take care of your finances. So let's get into it. I'm happy to take as many questions, as many people who want to grab the mic, come on stage, like Ashwini, share your experience. Uzmi, why don't you just come on stage and tell us about your experience with finance? And we learn more in the process, what is investments, what is savings, what is budgeting, what are the different nuances of fintech. How many of you are from the fintech domain or understand what is fintech? Anyone works in fintech, you work for a P2P, and you understand what the hell is fintech. So take over the mic, grab over the mic, and let me know your thoughts as and when they come by you. So thank you, Women Who Code, for having me here today. It's slightly unusual, to have an opportunity to speak when it's all, about technology and AI and ML and NLP and those kind of things. But that is where it is very important that we put our foot down and say, no, this is equally important and very much of use for everyone who works in technology. So, like I mentioned, I started the FinLit project last year. Yeah, it's a buzz. FinTech is absolutely zero da. FinTech is anything which is financial technology. You're right, Sushma. So, Paytm, for instance, is a FinTech. Your Buildex, that or Citrus Pay that you use to make payments for your electricity bill, everything is financial technology. So I come with a technology background. I have a bachelor's in technology and I went on to do my master's thereafter. and somehow stumbled or rather fell into finance, because when I wanted work from home, organizations were not very much in favor of work from home. So I didn't really have much of an option with a little one and a husband who wasn't well than to start taking care of the number one aspect which is important in finance. And that is, can anyone tell me what that is within finance? What is one of the most important aspects that affects all of us? Anyone who works in organizations probably already has one. Yes, budgeting and insurance. And when insurance hit us, investment, absolutely right. That's when I said, rather than outsourcing it to someone who's going to charge me a commission, I'm not sure what products they're going to recommend me. Are those products going to be suited for me? Why not take that ownership on myself? So in today's session, you'll figure out, like Deepika, bang on, investment, Lakshya, budgeting, that is beautiful, Jinita, budgeting, which is something so simple and something which most of us at some point in time have failed to do, or to make ourselves feel better, we just say, oh, we're going to do it better next month, when next month's salary comes in, we're going to take better financial decisions. So we'll discuss that in the session, and we'll talk about your financial goals. How does finance matter to you, and how can you make those better financial decisions? So, a lot of times women in technology say, I don't understand finance. Has anyone felt that finance too complicated, man? I just ignore what the hell is happening in the finance space. We've all done that. Believe me, there have been times where there's a finance news, I'll just skip it, just so that, I don't even want to get into it. I don't understand what it means. But if you were to break down finance, and most of you are probably BTech, MCS, MCA, all working on computers, don't you know basic numbers? What is it that about basic numbers that is scary? Eventually, there's absolutely... See, so money, the problem is that the people who designed finance made it look complicated. Now imagine if you catch hold of a BCom graduate and talk to them about NLP, are they going to understand? Are they going to understand what is NLP? What is natural language processing? What is Python? What is pandas? What are these libraries that they're talking about? So the point is that it all seems like a dark hole unless you fall into one. Unless you decide, yes, now computers do the math, so you can let your Excel sheets do the talking. They can do the numbers. But the onus is on you to say that I'm going to take the first step and I'm going to embrace financial literacy. So one of the aspects of financial literacy is essentially just numbers. The second is, anyone who knows what is this magic bull called inflation? What is inflation? Lakshmi, but I am so amazed that you file your returns every year. Most people in technology say, I give 500 rupees to a CA who does it for me. So I don't really know what my Form 16 is. I don't know what is Form 26 AS. You wouldn't believe, I did a session for a leading company, corporate in India. I don't want to name it. All women, 90% of them, it was on tax planning and budgeting, and what is old tax regime versus what is new tax regime. By the way, there are two tax regimes for those of you who are new. And after the session, I said, should you file your own income taxes? And the prompt response was, yes, we should. It's very important. And then after that, I say, will you file your own income taxes? And they said, oh, probably not. So I'm just amazed, Lakshmi. Please keep going at it. The minute you start understanding, different aspects, how can you save money? Just look for aspects wherein, how can I save money? How can I get a refund? That's when it will become fascinating. That's when you will try to figure out what is ELSS, what are those saving schemes, wherein I can get better returns on my investments. How can I get some of my money back from the income tax department? And the minute you start changing that mindset, it is all about perceiving that mindset differently. So Priyambada, bang on, it's the increase of goods and services every year. Now, the number one reason to understand, what is finance is, most of us leave our money in fixed deposits. Please, inflation is somewhere around 6% right now. And what does a fixed deposit give you? Anyone, any ideas, any sweep MODs that happen in your online bank accounts? What is the average interest that you get on your fixed deposit these days, or risk free? 5%, 6%? Currently, most banks are giving 5%. Again, like, TDS on top, 2.7 in savings. So when inflation is 6% and you're getting this interest, you're actually getting negative return. You're not getting any return. We think, nahi, on like 20 lakh FD, I'll get 1 lakh rupees, interest. But at the end of it, if you compare it with inflation and you go to the market to buy something, you'll realize that your money has actually lost value. So another important aspect, yes, you're bang on right, Sushma, it's less than 3% in nationalized banks these days. 5% to those banks who are like, nahi, hum thoda extra de dete hain. Otherwise, in some places, it had become 4.9%. And that is the reason why you have to understand finance, because one of the biggest challenges we face in current times is this opportunity to shift everything to EMI. Is this opportunity to have credit cards at our disposal? Is this opportunity to have products like, cred, which give us this incentive to sort of have as many credit cards as possible without realizing how badly it can hit our credit score, how badly it can affect, our mortgages, how badly it can affect us in the long run if we do not understand what is finance. And of course, so sooner or later, we've all felt it. They said, I don't really understand what this income tax website is talking about. Or some financial manager came to my house and he mentioned a few products, but it all went zoop all over my head. So when you don't understand, sometimes you end up investing in the wrong products. And if you invest in the wrong products in the long run, it's going to cause you a lot of stress. So it's very, very important that, you realize it. So let's quickly, there's 28 of you here, quickly tell me, have you ever opened a bank account without understanding its features? Yes, it's such a nightmare. It's absolutely. Has anyone stressed about your family's budget? Have you ever worried about buying something on credit without understanding what would be the interest that I would end up paying? Have you ever wondered at times when you're sitting in a restaurant, I wish we could just split this bill, it'll not be as hard on me for this month at least. Come on, tell me, own up, ladies. Another aspect is, have you ever ignored your investment statement because you couldn't understand it? A lot of times, most people do that because you buy some mutual funds, they send you some reports, but so boring, it just doesn't make any sense. Have you questioned your retirement savings? Have you freaked out about debt? This is a little bit, controversial. Have you gone shopping while drunk just, to make yourself feel better? So it's not just Rashmi. If you see the chat box, we've all done it. You're not alone. I've done it. You've done it. Your sister's done it. Your cousins have done it. Everyone has done it. And like when Chindi Indian, we've brought our own snacks to the movies when we used to go for movies. We've fudged the numbers of our budget to say, no, I didn't pay for Netflix this month. No, that was last month. I paused it. So the reason it looks tough to understand is there's this innate perception that finance is only for a few people. And the reason it is like that is you wouldn't believe, the people in finance often say that they've designed it in such a way that not everyone understands it. And the reason for that is when not everyone understands it, then they can sell you any products that they want. And that is not how you should, you should go on with your investment journey. One of the most common products that is sold to anyone is what is known as a ULIP. Anyone who knows what is a ULIP? What does ULIP stand for? No, not your lips, but ULIP, ULIP. So ULIP essentially is a unit linked, bang on Ashwini, it's a unit linked insurance plan. It's something which sort of, combines, so to say, the advantages of your investment and insurance, whereas in reality, it gives you benefits of neither. So that is one product that you should usually not engage with, especially if you are in your 30s or 20s, you should go for pure products. But who will tell us all these things unless we start understanding them on our own? So a lot of you talked about budgeting, let's just get into, it could be any goal. It could be travel whenever this pandemic runs away. It could be vacationing, staycationing, there's whatever you want to do. For some of you, it might be that tattoo that you've been wanting to have, which is a little bit, bigger in space, and you need to shell out money for that. It could be a fancy handbag. It could be wine for those of you in Delhi at Perch. It could be taking up a new course. It could be upskilling yourself. It could be any goal. But one of the most important reasons why you should budget is because you need to define goals. And once you define goals, there's this image in your head that, it's like getting clean data out of dirty data. This is the data that I need to get out of it. Now I have to sort of tweak my algorithm around it. And once you start pruning your brain to think like that, it will go on autopilot. Month after month, it will just go on autopilot. So some of those reasons wherein, budgeting comes in very, very important in anyone's life trajectory. It could be, it starts from school to college to working. It could be tax planning. It could be repaying your student loans. It could be health insurance, which is very, very important these days. It could be retirement planning. It could be buying a house for your parents, a car for your parents or for yourself. It could be your own wedding expenses, it could be anything. But at the end of it, without a budget, just, going and working and trying to earn money is like becoming, you're closing your eyes and just running in the dark. So it's very, very important that you take that ownership on yourself and start, just define your goals, make those clear-cut goals. One very important tip that someone gave me was, just like you pay your bills at the beginning of the month, start planning your budget at the beginning of the month. Start putting money aside for savings at the beginning of the month. Don't say that I'm going to wait till the end of the month. Jo bachega, I will put into my savings account or my PPF, my provident fund or whatever. Do it at the beginning of the month and you will actually notice the transcendental shift it brings in. Another important aspect is, you have to avoid debt traps. You have to avoid schemes which sound like too good to be true. Always carrying a balance on your credit card, because if you haven't watched, there's an amazing documentary on Netflix which talks about how credit cards make money. Do watch it, because it will really, really open your eyes to, I didn't even realize that this was happening with me. Don't refinance on the same underlying asset many times, Any questions? Yes, perfect. Lakshmi, that's the brilliant formula that you gave all of us. You made my job so much easier, So what most of us do is salary minus expense is your savings. Whereas in reality, it should be absolutely what Lakshmi is saying. Lakshmi, I'd love to have you on stage and share your thoughts quickly, Don't overspend, just segregate what is it that you need. Do I need it or do I just want it because it looks nice and it's going to sit in one dirty corner of the house, getting covered with dust? Come on, Lakshmi, please send me a request. Let's have you on stage. I'd love for you to share your financial well-being thoughts. You have such an amazing experience. Come on, send me a request. Yes, it's absolutely good to have minimum 6 months right now as an emergency fund. And more importantly, have an insurance so that in case there is something goes wrong, you are covered. You're not spending all that you saved all of a sudden on medical treatment or all of a sudden on a car theft or something like that, Yeah, in the post-pandemic world, the most important aspect is, number one, that we learned is to have an insurance. Number two, markets are at all-time highs right now. So don't get, pulled in by schemes which sound too good to be true. Allocate your money across dynamic assets. Do asset allocation. Put your money in, most importantly, something like an index fund, and forget for the next 5 to 10 years. You're all young. A lot of your allocation should be towards equity. For those of you who are, as you go towards midlife, it has to be balanced between equity and debt. Oh, I'm so sorry, Lakshmi. And he's going to be all right. Don't worry. But I love for you to, join in and share. And we'll definitely connect on LinkedIn after this. And And please feel free to reach out anytime any of you have a finance related question and don't know who to reach out to. For me, the number one problem was that, it took me 3 years to understand things, because when you reach out, it's either too complex or it just doesn't sound right. So when you sort of start understanding, when you take ownership, when you understand what is financial capability, how can financial inclusion affect you, irrespective of one pandemic or two pandemics or three pandemics. Yeah, term insurance is absolutely vital, Ashwini. There are two insurance products which are very important. One is term insurance and the other one is health insurance. So, of course, a car one if you have a car, but the other two are very, very important, because that is what will take care in case something goes wrong. And please go for a pure product. Don't go for a hybrid product, because hybrid products most often they don't give us either benefits. So I hope that answers your question, Roma. Thank you so much. Yeah, so investments, if you have daughters, please look at Sukanya Samriddhi as a way to save money. Don't just avoid that thinking, array, this is such a random thing. So, look at your banking, look at your savings and investments, how to use your credit card. Is it better if I pay through, UPI versus some other mechanism that I'm using? How should I keep revisiting my household budget as my needs change? How do I manage my debt? How do I track my expenses? All these things become very, very vital. And when you do that, that is when you'll feel socially secure, and you can achieve what you set out to achieve. Because this is very, very important. Unfortunately, only 20% women are financially literate. We have to change this. And if we take, should I go for a premium return term insurance? The premium is much higher. I think a purer one is rather better to have, because it's just like a cover that in case something goes wrong, then your family is taken care of. So, a normal one is rather better. Is it good to take life insurance for my mother? She's in her mid 40s. It is actually, and if she's working more, so just find out what are the insurance policies that might be good for her to have, and it is absolutely important that you take. A general rule of thumb is, there's a lot of them, Ashwini. You can actually reach out to anyone. Which is Supriya, you want to talk about something? Over to you. I'll just mute myself.
Then the system team will start writing requirements.
Nothing, Neha.
We have the requirement.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to say something. So let's try and change this figure, because as you're all in technology, you know what are the next big things that are coming up in fintech. It could be blockchain. Anyone who's from the blockchain space, anyone who's from AI, these are different aspects wherein robo advisors are coming in finance. You have quantum computing, which is sort of upscaling the process altogether. It could be P2P digital transfer. It could be any aspect. It could be neo banking for those of you who understand or want to venture into the fintech space. It could be AR, VR. So so usually Lakshmi, right now they're saying around, a ballpark figure is about 1 crore is a good enough amount. Money P2P stands for peer to peer. So if you've heard recently, Cred has launched a P2P lending system, wherein if you have money, you can lend it through me, but you lend it through a fintech app. So that's coming up in a big way, so it's very, very important that if you want to get into that fintech domain, a lot of time our fintech partners who are recruiting for talent, they say, we want to hire someone who can talk about derivatives and can code derivatives. But the problem is, if people in technology don't understand what the hell is a derivative, how will you recruit them? So just embrace finance as a way of life. And once you start doing it, everything is going to start making sense. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I wanted to share my LinkedIn here for those of you, who are here. I hope I'm on time, and I'm more than happy to take questions. Sai, Sandhya, over to you if you want to take ahead. Anyone who wants to take over the stage, more than welcome. Just embrace this. Just think that it's important, and I'm really telling you, things will actually start to look simple. The problem is that for so long we've just been so scared of it. But the minute you say no, I'm going to start understanding. word by word, little by little. Start with tax planning, get into investments. Then you will see it's an ocean of opportunities. Over to you, Sandhya. That brings me to the end of my. Yes, I would love to connect with everyone. Please send me LinkedIn requests. Roma, I hope it was useful for your time. Lakshmi, thank you for joining. Money, let's just find out. I would love to see you build a P2P product. Just find out what is P2P and get on with it. Over to you, Sandhya. Thank you so much.
Such an amazing session, I have to say. This is the most interacted session ever. It's like, okay, on behalf of all the audience, I thank you. It's like, okay, me myself, okay, it's not like I'm feared of finances, but yeah, it's somehow, it's not my cup of tea. But now, maybe after all this motivation and all, maybe I'll pull up my socks and, I'll start taking up financial decisions. So yes, thank you so much for bringing up all the slides. Such a lovely deck. And thank you so much for answering all the questions, and hope there is like nice takeaway our audience are having. So thank you so much, and yes, we will definitely be connected with you over LinkedIn, and looking forward for many such informative sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for your lovely questions, and thank you for sticking around. And we have other sessions lined up. So yes, thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe. Bye.
Bye. See you guys around. Let's catch up in the mentoring, speed mentoring sessions, and happy to answer any questions that I may have missed over LinkedIn messages. And, please stay in touch and we'll definitely make finance easier for you. Take care. Have a great day and a great super weekend. Bye, Uzmi. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.